everybody to come on in so you can see where my head's not cut off. And so, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm doing this early because I got to work this afternoon. And I got to sleep in. I slept in till 7. 7. Yes, that was the sleep in. Actually, Steve ran into the bathroom before me, so I got to sleep in until 7:30. That's huge. That's just huge. I haven't even finished half the stuff I do in the morning. But that's okay. I don't mind. But just to have that at that time. I was so exhausted yesterday. I mean, exhausted. I would do something, sit down, and I would be like, "Oh god, I gotta go to sleep," and then I'd fall asleep. It was just horrible. Like I was just like, hold on here. We took the dog out. We went. We did our thing with her. Uh, we picked up some stuff, and then came home. And then I was like, oh, I think I'm just like. And then I looked at the clock. Oh, must be 10 o'clock. It was like 6:30. Like what the fuck, people? I'm exhausted. It was 6:30. I was just like, no way. But I think with the news for my about my brother-in-law, even though that, and I said that we're estranged. Like I am not close with my sister. I'm not close with that part of the family. But I mean, I knew him from the age of 15, 14, 15, 14, somewhere around that. I was young. And, when she got married, I was 16. So they've been married for 44 years. So I was one of her bridesmaids. I grew up with him. I knew his brother who passed away earlier, like when he was quite young too. Yeah. So, and I was there for her birth of her children. So, I mean, it's it when getting into that time of life. I mean, he was, that people are starting to pass away naturally kind of thing because they're when they get older. Um, but yeah, I think it just sort of hit me in a way that just exhausted me and emotionally, where it's just like, oh, that's a lot of emotion, man. It's a lot of emotion. And with the amount of people that are just oh, the mental illness is just so on a rise, so on a rise. It's yeah. And sometimes it's very difficult to be around people who are that do have a mental illness. And for some people, they're beautiful. Like I'm going to call out Virginia. She's absolutely fabulous with working with people. I mean, that's part of her job. Like she really works with people who are in stressed times and helping them out. Like she's just fabulous and she's very patient with them. um but I just being, say, a social worker or a person who works a lot with mentally ill, I thought when in my younger days I'd be able to do that. I think I'd get so frustrated that no, I would I would get too frustrated with people, you know yeah, I could do counseling, like, with my readings and stuff like that. But to work with somebody who is bipolar or who has forms of psychosis or schizophrenia, I mean, yes, I have a son who I don't know. He said he was diagnosed last time I talked to him, diagnosed with schizophrenia, and he was diagnosed with psychosis. It's difficult. It's draining. It's draining because you don't know what the next shoe is going to be or what it's going to look like or how they're going to um react to something, right? And that's very physically and mentally exhausting, especially when they don't want to take responsibility for their what's going on with them. And I think that's where I have issues. And looking at the astrology, I'm just like, oh, fuck. That's what's going on. That's what's going on, baby. There is a um there's like a feeling of being lost in space right now. Um and it is so imperative to do your gratitudes and what you are grateful for. And writing that I am so happy and grateful for and then writing it out. Or I am so grateful now that, writing that in, even if it's not there, like even though maybe this is part of something that you are wanting to create, but you're putting that energy into that lane that you're in, right? And that's really imperative to do, doing that, bringing that in, but writing it down. Now, I know my lovely air signs are just rolling their eyes at me right now. I was saying, why do I have to write it down? Hi, Lexi. Hi, everybody at Instagram. Why do I have to write it down? Writing it down makes it tangible, right? Keeping it up here is not tangible. Keeping it up here, you're going to get it lost in some filing system that you will never find again because you filed it somewhere, but you're not sure where you filed it. So, writing it down, just a few gratitudes a day, and even the ones that you are, say, wanting to bring forth into your world. So it could be better health, it could be financial freedom, it could be um, a new car, it could be whatever it is. You write it down. Maybe it's for somebody else. Maybe you want to put that in for somebody else. Somebody else is struggling, but you are unable to deal with it, so you can write, I'm so happy and grateful now that so and so has, whatever they need, and are stepping into that alignment. That it just allows for that to go out there, right? And that's really important to be doing that right now, because we're in high stress area. Now, just back out to Jacqueline. Jacqueline said that they're pulling off stuff off the Walmart shelves. Yes, yeah, they are. And it was clarified it's in all states. Hasn't hit Canada, but we have a different processing when it comes to eggs. Eggs are all being pulled off. Funny, hurricanes are hitting. Eggs are being pulled off, but they are being recalled. Now, one of the guys that I follow, the Economic Ninja, I follow, his son was making eggs this morning, and the white part of the eggs was green. There was green on those eggs, and they just happened to have bought them at Walmart the other day. So, just a cautionary for people to watch what you're eating. The chickens are being from a certain processing plant are being recalled, and and this is like 9 million tons. 9 million tons. Think about that, of food that is being recalled from these processing. Now in the States, they had all of that cold meat from a high-end place where they did cold meats, right? Those were all called. And now the thing is with that meat, a lot of people say, well, it tastes fine, it's fine. It's called lithium. It starts with an L. All right, it starts with an L. You know me and my language. But the thing is that the bacterial infection that's in this meat doesn't can stay in your body and hit you several months afterwards, where you will end up you could have a heart attack, you could have, and I feel it affects the brain. So this is like, okay, I need to grow my own food. I need to go to the farmers that I know who slaughter their own meat. If you could find a farmer who slaughters his own meat, I mean, I remember going on my brother's farm, and there's a cow hanging from the tree. I know some people, I know some people out there are just like, "What? A cow hanging from the tree?" Yeah. So they would slaughter their own cattle. So they would hang from a tree. They had a cow hanging tree. But they would have a guy come around, and he would say, okay, you could take the cow down because it had to hang for so many days before you could do anything with it. And I know so many out there, you guys are going to be just like freaking, you know, and saying, oh, that's so gross. Well, welcome to the farm. Welcome to don't ask me what we did to the chickens. But with the chickens after that, we used to have big vats out in the back, like oil barrels in the backyard. And even for the turkeys, you would plow them in the water, the boiling water, take them out, and then start plucking them before there was pluckers. I love the plucking machines. Anyways, Okay, getting off topic here. Um, but this is where, we're feeling like we're feeling lost in space. We're feeling that, "Oh my god, what's gonna happen?" kinda thing. And we have the moon coming up and it's conjuncting Pluto. Now Pluto will be going forward tomorrow. Now that conjunction will be that Pluto will go over, um the moon will go over Pluto as it is still retrograde and it's station direct tomorrow. So the feeling of extreme is here, and the heaviness, and shall I say the grim reaper, death, is definitely in the air. And this is going to be the very last time because Pluto will be going as it goes direct, he's moving out. He's moving out of Capricorn. So he's moving out of the last 16 years of him being there, of when we were hopefully being shown how to bring forth stability in our life, to look at our achievements, to look at the things that we have worked on. And with the sun squaring Mars and Mars squaring Chiron and the sun in opposition of Chiron. Now Chiron is the wounded healer. He is the warrior who sacrificed himself in front of Zeus to be eternal and hold, um it's like almost like holding the sins of all the gods, right? And that's what he is. He's the one who holds all of the pain and the misery and wanting to show you how to release it. Now he's in Aries and he is a warrior. And so being in the opposition of the sun and squaring Mars or Mars squaring him, it's and Mars being the warrior, right? But Mars doesn't have the oomph. So we have this feeling of overwhelmness, a feeling of wanting to get out there and do this, wanting, like we're like, I gotta do this. But that's where feelings of exhaustion can come in as well. So really watching your own mental well-being and how you're taking care of your own mental well-being. And that's very important. If you are feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling too much is coming upon you, having those talks, getting into counseling sessions, talking to, who you need to talk to, like booking in appointments and things, very important. So this is, where we're coming in. And shall I say, like, not only today, but going into the weekend and into next week, we are beyond extreme energies. Like, we are beyond extreme. We are in intensified crazy energies. We just have North Korea going onto the border to help Russia. Like, I'm sorry. That's crazy. We just had attacks on the embassies in Sweden and in Holland, on the Israeli embassies, and they're not doing anything, you know? So this is where, as I said, like, Pluto is the secret keeper, right? So when Pluto was in Aquarius, like when, okay, history lesson, history lesson, history lesson. So in 1776, right, was, when the starting of the revolution, right? In 1775, they were preparing. Okay, it was preparation. What were they preparing? They were taking all their merchant ships and the merchant ships were becoming um fortified to fight a war on the ocean. So they were preparing, right? So the Brits, they weren't Americans yet, all right? They were British. So the British were preparing. They knew something was up, right? They knew that they weren't going to be taking any orders from the guy across the pond anymore because he knew fuck all. And plus, he was crazy. He had a mental illness. He had a toxicity within him. His urine was blue, which now they know has to do with some form of mental illness. Anyways, so he had issues. And the people over in England, because of taxation, it came down to taxes, said, we're not doing anymore. We're not doing this anymore. So We have that. But what ended up coming in when Pluto, that was still Pluto in Capricorn. So when Pluto left, started where there were secret societies because certain things had to be kept secret. George Washington, I mean, one of his secrets is that he had plantations. He didn't want people to know that, right? But he did. But the other part is that he was a Mason. And but when he went out to lead the Continental Army, he wasn't wearing his apron. He wasn't out there, saying, "Hey, I'm a Mason." That didn't happen till 20 years after. So if you think about it, 20 years after, that's how long Pluto will be in Aquarius. The first president of the United States wasn't there till 20 years after because they had to go through the convention, writing writing everything out. Now, this is all like the boring part of history because people don't really want to know that. But when he became the Grand Mason in his own hall that he created, he became the president of the United States. And many of them started to step out when Pluto went into Pisces. That's why I say a lot of what's happening now and what is going to be unfolding over the next 20 years, we are not going to get the full truth of that for another 20 years because there's going to be a lot of secrets, a lot of things that are still going to be coming up, and we're still going to be wondering why. But there's a formation that is happening. That is, when we look at Pluto in Aquarius. Now, Pluto in Capricorn is all about building the society, building the connection. Everybody thinks it's Aquarius. It's not. It's Capricorn. Capricorn is the builder, is the connection of having those connections, having those communities. That's where you see a lot of prep work is done. When you get into Aquarius, that's when some oddities start to happen. That's when people go to more to extremes. We saw that when he first went in there, a lot of extremes within societies and different people feeling like they have more of a right. But there is where secret societies were starting to really come out because a lot of information, it was who you knew to get the information. And this is going way back even to when Henry VIII, because Henry VIII was he Pluto and Leo? No, he was, yeah, I think he was a Pluto and Leo. He was born as a Pluto and Leo. But in order to become a leader, now this is, I got to get my head straight around the Pluto and Libras, which is JD Vance. JD Vance is a Pluto and Libra. A Pluto and Libra were the ones who became the leaders, right? Now he had, or was he a Pluto and Leo? I think he was a Pluto and Libra, and his dad was a Pluto and Leo. Okay, just get this right. The thing is with when it comes to King Henry VIII, everybody remembers him as Peter Scorpio. I know all this information is but the thing is that nobody remembers Henry VIII as being the guy who did the referendum, who basically said, you know what? Like the thing is that he worked on things for years before they came into formation, right? He was working on he wanted to divorce. I mean, he married his brother's wife, okay? He didn't love her. And he was a very handsome man when he was younger. And the weird thing is, like, look at JD Vance and look at early things of King Henry VIII, because yes, that's it. He was a Pluto and Libra. That, they are very similar in looks. Very weird. Anyways, not going to say that he's going to have, little girls on the side or take his wife's head off. Not saying that. But but the thing is that he did a lot of changes. Like, just the same way, in the debate where JD Vance his mind changed. He didn't like Trump. He didn't like that. Now the person who was trying to get him accountable, trying to hold him that. Well, that was the same as King Henry VIII. King Henry VIII did not like a lot of things that were going on. He didn't like a lot of things that were going on in the church, or but he agreed with them. In his early years, he agreed with the church because that's what they did, right? That was the thing to do. You agreed with it. The Pope said this, but he wanted to break away from him, right? He didn't want to have the Pope. But the thing is, and that's the whole thing, when you're looking at religion and we're looking at things, is that when he broke off, it is just that he took the Pope out of the place, took the Pope out, put himself as being the head of the church. But a lot of the prayers and a lot of the way that they did their rituals and that still stayed the same. And that made people feel comfortable. So a lot of things when it comes to things that are going to be changing is that we don't want to radically change so that everything's all different, because then there's no basis for it. There's no substance to it. So we want to keep things in a basis, and that's what he did, and that's where the Church of England was started. And it wasn't until his daughter, who's a Pluto in Aquarius, which is weird because Pluto in Aquarius, well, Aquarius, they they don't like people who suck up to them. Queen Elizabeth I. They want somebody who's going to challenge them. They want someone who will be their friend, but not a suck up friend, right? And still, challenge them in some ways. And that's what she really liked. Like her people around her, Queen Elizabeth, they were odd. She had a lot of odd friends that were around her. Not everybody, if anybody was sucking up too much, she usually sent them, like, sorry, not off with your head, but she would send him to the Tower, right? Now there's a war, and it's on Prime right now. It's on AMC, I believe, and it is and I've watched the whole series twice in account, but it has the word witches in it. That is written by a woman who's a historian. So a lot of the things, including the book that she tries to retrieve, is true. Now we can get into the Oxford, and how Oxford was founded, and the whole basis of Oxford. I'm going to be watching it for the third time again. It is watching everything that's in there, because a lot of it is right, and it has to do with witches and demons and vampires. So it's very interesting. And also it has to do with working of the DNA, and finding out the DNA, especially with of the of the vampires, right? And so wondering, how are the DNA? So that's the other part too, which is really interesting, because right now what's going on, especially within the scientific community, and questioning people's DNA, especially the DNA of people who have had the shot, and how their DNA has changed. And are they considered human? Whoa. Now, she's like, what does that all have to do with the astrology? So much. Because when Pluto goes into Aquarius, that's going to be one of the hugest questions that we are going to be asking for the next 20 years, on how you identify a human being. With the innovative of AI coming in, and how much can you put in your body, how many chips or whatever put in your body, and still be considered a human. Totally wild. Totally wild. As everything is coming up and erupting, as Pluto will be going forward, Jupiter is retrograde. Now, with Jupiter retrograde, there's going to be like, oh, and it's in Gemini. It's like, oh, and it's in detriment. It's like, oh, it's not. It's not gonna. It's we're get up and go, and Mars is like, no, get up and go. Mars no get up and go until like April, May of next year. So we're not going to have that sort of like, yeah, we're going to do this, but that frustration, that overwhelmness is coming in, and feeling that frustration and overwhelmness is there. And so everything is going to be over the top. Now I know Hurricane Milton, just like, what the fuck is the word Milton? Like Milton. I'm Milton. I'm a hurricane. I know. Get feistier names. But anyways, I digress. Um, but with Hurricane Milton, I think there's another other ones that are coming in as well, are hitting landfall. They also hit different targets and where that hurricane hit. And some communication air forces that were there that were communicating with Israel, they were moved. So I know the Canadian prepper was talking about them, and I did sort of a deep dive into that, but they moved them. Do you think they would have kept them there? No, they moved them. Uh, so the communications and the working with Israel that was just off of the coast of Florida, they're some kind of army secret place. They moved it. Anyways, I should write some stuff down. Some stuff I do write down, other stuff it just pops up in my head and I just like, have to have to tell it out. But this all crazy, chaotic, and everything else that is going on. We also know about what's going on in North Carolina because I mean, if anybody ever made trips over to North Carolina and in that area, they have beautiful mines in that area where you could get like some really fabulous crystals from amethyst, all types of quartz, like all types of quartz are there. And you can get them very cheap. And some of the very expensive quartz or expensive crystals that you pay $200 or whatever for in our area, you can get them like for dirt cheap, like a buck or $2 because they're there. So it's rich in a lot of geo geometric um crystals, right? And working with those crystals and stuff. And they have beautiful formations of crystal mines there, quartz crystal mines. Now this is clear quartz that they'll be working with, not how where you can find where quartz is not clear, like it's white quartz, but this is clear quartz with the points and everything that are a natural formation. I'm looking around and I'm seeing all my quartz are all popping up. Here I am, here I am, here I am. Yes, I see you guys. So that is, impaired because they need that for a lot of the new innovative um, energy structures that they are creating. And there are also huge lithium deposits all through there, right? And this is where they are wanting to do what they would call a land grab. Now, a land grab is when a place is so decimated that it is unlivable. Like you cannot live there anymore. They have done that in North Carolina, where they've made a national park, where they took people right off their property and said, no, we decided to make this a national park. They've done it where they've moved people because they wanted the land for something else. Now, these people, a lot of times, if they're living in a holler, if you know what a holler is, you don't know what a holler is. Holler is a road where a lot of people have lived all their life. So it's a group of people who live on a road and they watch out for one another. And they basically have, people have lived in the same house or they have pass the house down and stuff to their children. So this is a land grab. Same in Miami. Yes, that's the same thing. It's a land grab. Now, what they're also doing with all of this land grab is that now what they do is that they bring in an educational system to the children. Because what better way to change anything is educate the children. Now, in many places across the world, and including if anybody watches, I got a runny nose now. Um, uh, Redacted. I mean, their kids were being taught about 15-minute cities and how wonderful these 15-minute cities are. So indoctrinating the children now, right? And sometimes kids, you don't even think about it when you're when you're a kid and your teacher is telling you about certain things. You don't think about it. Now, indoctrinating the children even in Miami, where a lot of these kids are like, "Oh, well, yeah, why are we all going to be living in this house or whatever it is?" And creating those little 15-minute cities because it's more economically sound for the powers that be to create that what they are going to create. Now, I'm not going to say that they're going to get away with it because the thing is that when it comes to the power, when it comes to what needs to happen, it I'm going to say no. It just won't. It just won't. Right? It will crumble because there are people like the Pluto in Libras who are saying no. They see the writing on the wall. Now the Pluto in Sagittarius is that they basically have to go along with it. If they try and do their own plan or try and go off the beaten track on trying something else, it's just going to smack them in their fucking face because they ain't going to work. Right? And the Pluto and Scorpios are the ones, this is like when you're getting into generational astrology. The Pluto and Scorpios are the ones that are, okay, what do you need me to do? Right? What do you need me to do? Because we're going to get shit done. Because the Pluto and Libra is going to have the ideas to do things, right? And create things. And it's going to be the Pluto and Scorpio and saying, okay, let's get the motherfucker done. Because that's what Pluto does in Scorpio. We're going to get the motherfucker done. Right? We're going to go to the depths of hell and we're going to rise above. And the Pluto and Sagittarius are just going to say, okay, let's do it. Right? So this is when you start, when you start to look at even the different charts of the leaders that are going on right now, it's just like, this is why when you look at Kamala, I was going to call her Kamala Harris, and you look at her chart, she's a Pluto and Virgo. No, sorry. There's never been a Pluto and Virgo president of the United States. Just saying, but how it happens, how this all unforms, is a whole different place because Trump is a Pluto and Leo, and he's the last of the old guard. But he's the old guard that is radical and transformational and wants to make a difference. The other one doesn't want to make a difference. They want to keep it the same. Same thing that's happening here in Canada. And what's happening here in Canada is just crazy. It's part of the distraction, but it is crazy to wanting to make the radical change and having that radical change that needs to be happening. Now, there's some crazy events that are going to be coming out today that, to my understanding, when it comes to Canadians, it's they have read the third reading. 3 readings have to go through the Senate before it becomes a law, right? So it is, and I did write this down. I wrote it down on my Facebook page, but it's the pharmaceutical bill that they had, I think C-62, I think it is. I think. Don't quote me on which number the bill is, but it's gone through its third reading. So it goes through its third reading, and through the third reading, what has to be done, it has to go to the Crown. And the Crown is the Governor General. So the Governor General is the one who signs off on it. And so there's going to be, supposedly, so I heard, allegedly, through my little grapevine of people and through different ones, that allegedly the Governor General is coming in to sign it. And even though I heard allegedly that our prime minister was in Vietnam, allegedly, is going to ask for it starts with a P, that prorogation, whatever, so that he can suspend the cabinet. So basically, what he wants to do is suspend it. And in suspending it, that means that everything, the government will be shut down till January. Now, does that mean there'll be a non-confident vote coming up in January? Good question. But if things take off the way that, according to the astrology, by Monday, we'll see. Because if the fizzy hits the fan this Monday, with all the extremes that are coming in, and what I was saying yesterday, with the huge cardinal cross and the full moon in Aries being the kickoff, which is on the 17th, this is where the pressure cooker is on, and things change forever. So what you think is going to happen, what you think is going to go on, it ain't going to happen. You think something is done. Like we are still under the spell from 2020. Things still are there from that spell that was cast from Mercury going retrograde in Pisces. We're still under it. So that has not come up to the surface. That has not been broken. And everything is accumulating within this pressure cooker, which is happening right now. So balance, right? To regain or to regenerate, to find our own inner balance is so important in amongst all of this craziness that is going on, because today is going to be extreme, extreme. And the extremes, like who would have thought that they'd be calling 9 million pounds, 9 million tons of food being recalled in the United States? Like, so things are just, and I know down in Florida and stuff, and like, well, look at what's happening in Florida. That's extreme. That is nothing, baby. That's only the tip of the iceberg that's going on right now. And with the extremes of what's going to come out of that in the aftermath of what's going to happen, could it be mosquitoes? Fancy thing that Gates is down there. So what kind of land grab is that going to be? Because when people are destitute and you're left without and you have nothing, nothing, it's gone. It's gone. There's no stores, there's no nothing. And if you take any money from the United States, if you take any money from them, you are taxed on it. Anything over $600. A little sexy looking. She's got a little potion bottle. So this is here again. We're coming back to our grounding, to our gratitudes, to the things that we need to grab hold on within our own selves to continue the light work, to continue that. There are processes that are being done. There's work being done on the other side of the hill that we can't see because the angels are saying, no way, we can't go past those gates because they won't allow us right now. But this is what's happening. My little Sassy is getting fixed today. Hope she'll be okay. Oh, she'll be fine. She'll be fine. Yeah. She'll be a lot better when she's done, you know. But that's the whole thing. Is like we got to look. It's not to go out and manic and be a manic prepper right now. Don't be a manic prepper. Don't go out and start doing manic things when it comes to that. Be thoughtful. Okay, this is what I can do right now. This is what I need to be doing. Because when the fizzy hits the fan starting next week and even starting this weekend, and things are going to be starting to escalate. This is where we really have to keep our grounding, where we really have to keep our focused, right? And do what it is that we need to do for ourselves and for our health. And that's the other part too. A lot of people aren't expecting any crazy viral shit to start coming out. We're going to hear something crazy, something new. I told you by the end of October, we're going to have some kind of crazy viral thing coming in. A lot of people are getting sick. I mean, here I am with a runny nose and sniffling away, trying to keep ahead of it. But be aware of it. And the thing is, I always say, if you're able to take your vitamins and stuff like that, take your vitamins. I tell people that I take my vitamins for a short period of time and then I can't take them anymore. Like my body just like, they make me sick. So, and it doesn't matter what vitamins and stuff I take, and same with the herbs and stuff like that. I can take them for a little while and then I just can't take them again. It's my body. I got a weird body. Although I wish I could just take an oil can and oil my hips up and stuff like that and get them mobile. just dip me down in some oil so my body's working and stuff. So, yeah. But if you are wanting to book in a reading, definitely let me know. I do have some times for readings, and just keep yourself ahead of the game. But just know shit's going to hit the fan, and there's going to be some really crazy stuff that's going to come out unfold it over the next little while. And what we feel the WW3 is going to be, right? And you still take your vitamins, still take, you know, is what's really going to hit next week and stuff. So, whew, baby, remember, it's not to scare you, but remember all of this is coming in because it has to come in. The clearing has to happen, right? And in knowing what the clearing is so important. Um, and having your connections of who the connections of the people around you that you need. And um, as I said, where you think you are today is not going to be where you will be in a year from now. So, like, even for us, it's like when I say that, I'm just like, am I not going to be in my little apartment here? Where am I going to be? I don't know. But I got to have my trust and faith in God that He's leading me on the right path. So, got to go make my lunch. So, I have lunch today at work and sending you out so many blessings. May the Lord and Lady watch over and bless each and every one of you and all you say and all you be and all you do. Like, subscribe, and share the video out so that the algorithm knows I'm around and I'm not going anywhere. Bye-bye, everybody. See ya all tomorrow. Blessings.